Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to another Chats with Chaudhry. I hope you're safe and well. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Jose Castro Perez, who's a Senior Director, LCMS Accurate Maths for SCIEX, and he is taking part in my Reflections and Forecast 2021-22 series, where we're looking back at the last 12 months and looking ahead as to what 22 will bring us. So, Jose, first of all, it's lovely to see you. How are you?
Yeah, lovely to see you as well. I'm doing great, thank you.
And where are you calling in from, Jose?
I'm calling in from Massachusetts.
All right.
So
well, it's January, so hopefully it's not snowing there at the moment, is it?
It was snowing, but now it's very cold. So I think that we're right in the middle of winter.
Well, the funny thing is, cold in the States is very, very different to cold in the UK. We think it's cold when there's a little bit of snow, but it's nowhere near what it's like in the States when you get the snow coming down.
Yeah, here it's very dry and very cold. Different from the UK, where it's wet and rainy.
Exactly. Well, look, let's hope that this conversation warms us both up then. So before we start talking about your thoughts on 2021 and looking ahead to 2022, can you give those people who are not familiar with SCIEX a very quick overview of the business?
Sure, for sure. Yes. So at SCIEX, we mainly deliver solutions for the precision detection and quantitation of molecules. And we serve a variety of market segments and customer needs in general. We have a comprehensive portfolio of products that they range from LC, capillary electrophoresis, and mass spectrometry, and also including a variety of different consumables and software tools. As you know, SCIEX has led the field of mass spectrometry for more than 50 years. In fact, we recently had the 50-year anniversary. From the first ever commercially available triple quad belief that we launched in 1981. So we've been developing, groundbreaking technologies and solutions that will influence, life-changing research and outcomes. Also, we're part of the Danaher family of global life science and technology innovators. And we are a customer-centric organization with a very strong focus in understanding the customer challenges and working closely with them to address their bioanalytical gaps. And it is through the understanding of the analytical challenges what really, really motivates us to innovate and provide to our customer base cutting-edge workflows and solutions.
Fantastic. Now, let's look at 2021. Really quick, simple question. How would you describe the last year in one word and why?
Well, for us, for SCIEX, it was really all about innovation.
Right.
It was about innovation. It was about, getting to the market products that will really benefit our customers' workflows. So just to give you some example, if we delve a little bit deeper into that, we launched two brand new products. The first one was the BioPhase 8000. And the second one, for which I'm responsible for, was the XenoTOF 7600.
Yeah, I was at the press launch for that, actually. It was a very good press launch.
Oh, thank you. So for both products, we really listen to our customer needs. And the BioPhase 8000, the main aspects of that product is basically addressing throughput in biopharmaceutical labs. So scientists can now assess molecular liabilities faster, which means that they can have a much more rapid assessment and streamlined selection of candidates to progress to the next step of drug discovery and development. So this was done by increasing the throughput by having 8 capillaries in parallel. So basically allowing a much faster throughput while retaining the capability to deliver, CE, SDS, CIF analysis for a large number of samples in record time. So that was the BioPhase 8000. Now, the story behind the 7600, in my mind, is game-changing. I mean, this was a product that was in research for a long time. We have some key technology that was part of that product. And really what we wanted to do is have a product that will basically have a multitude of different application areas that will expand from biopharmaceutical applications, pharmaceutical, and in general, biomarker discovery and quantitation. So the other key aspect of the product was to develop an alternative fragmentation technique. I think that you've heard the term electron activated dissociation.
Right.
So we combine this with the XenoTrap. so that we can uncover structural information that was previously inaccessible to our customers, such as, for instance, in the case of biopharmaceutical characterization, or in the case of proteomics applications, when you're looking at, post-translational modifications in complex biological settings. So with EAD, electron activated dissociation, we also wanted to make it really easy for our users. So we developed a system that was reagent-free, electron-based fragmentation. We didn't need any type of reagents, like, for example, with ETD, but also we included a wide range of kinetic energies that will facilitate fragmentation across a really wide spectrum of molecules, such as singly charged ions or multiple charged ions in the case of biopharmaceutical characterization or proteomics. Right. The other really big step forward that I saw when we launched the instrument, and the feedback that we've been getting from our customers, is the Xeno trap, because we addressed one of the key questions that we had around increasing the duty cycle of the instrument. So that means the number of the percentage of the ion beam that we inject into the top. So that resulted in quite a significant improvement in overall sensitivity for the system for a wide variety of application areas. So that meant that now we could go to much lower levels of detection, up to 20x improvement in our detection limits, but also maintaining the linear dynamic range of the system, because we also invested in a new detection system as well. So overall, we ended up with a package that is very, very versatile, covering a whole variety of different workflows, serving key critical unmet needs for our customers.
Right. Okay. Well, I was actually going to ask you some of the key achievements that you were thinking of for SCIEX this year, and you've obviously mentioned a couple. So are there any other sort of innovations or achievements that you think SCIEX have done in the last 12 months that stood out for you?
Yeah, the other major ones, that was the hardware side, right? The other major achievement from our side was around software tools, right? So we reinvested heavily on SCIEX OS as the platform for our future products as well. We also invested in specific application areas. One of them is omics, which is our multi-omics solution in the cloud, right? That will facilitate much higher throughput of sample analysis, or integration of data, certainly from a biomarker discovery standpoint. And the other one, which I thought was key, was molecule profiler as well. Very focused towards meta-D type of applications for the pharma and biopharma industry. In the case of biopharma, focusing on oligonucleotide characterization, which is, as you know, now a very hot topic.
Definitely.
So again, we listen to our customers. We develop the tools, as part of the entire ecosystem of the Xenotoph as well. So and then lastly, the other one was Biology Explorer. That tool is very much focused around biopharma characterization and serving the needs of that customer base.
Right. Okay. Fantastic. There's a lot going on, obviously. Obviously, last year though was year 2 of the pandemic. Now, obviously, in year 1, companies started to adjust and work remote and so on. So, how has year 2 impacted SCIEX as a business, and how have you coped in the second year of the pandemic, if you like?
Sure. Yeah. So maybe go back a little bit in time, because the first year was very interesting. I mean, it impacted all of us, I think,
Sure.
On many levels, right? We needed to find new ways of working, and but also balance your work life, right? I remember that I think that maybe for a period of like 2 or 3 months, we were trying to find out what is going on, at a personal level, with the kids and staying at home, learning remotely, and then you're doing your job remotely. So there was a very steep learning curve, I must say. We thought at the beginning, hey, this is going to be for 3 months, 6 months, and then maybe it's going to go away. But no, we're still here. I'm still working remotely. So I would say that it impacted us in many levels. The one thing that was really, really important for us was to make sure that we could take care of our customers, right? So we wanted to be able to keep that continuation of service, right? So we worked very hard to adapt to this ever-changing conditions or new conditions, right? So on the second year, actually it was part of the first year, and then we carried across and we made it better. We worked on a future of work strategy, right? So that we could become, a more efficient organization, and we adapted very fast. So the key here was that we needed to be flexible.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, you go a certain number of hours in a day, make sure that you maximize that time and keep a good work-life balance, right? Because it's very important to stay fresh and focused, right? So we really optimize our working environment quite a lot, and we added that additional flexibility that we needed to have. I mean, some of us that needed to be in the lab, they were able to go to the lab, but also they were also able to work remotely. So in other words, just say your sample's going, go back home, check your runs, remotely and make sure that everything was working fine. Or if you had a desk job, you could work from home, and but also be flexible. Go to the office whenever you need to go to the office and so forth. So we really adapted very, very quickly. And I would say as a consequence of that, I would say that we're more productive now than what we were, let's say, a year ago.
Sure. And how has that impacted how you work with your customers as well? So, because obviously your customers are working remotely as well, a lot of them, although some obviously have to go into the lab and work there. So in terms of the interactions you're having with your customers, obviously you're going to have Zoom and so on, and Teams meetings, but how have you changed the way you have supported your customers or serviced your customers, as well as sort of interacted with them on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, great question. From my point of view, now I'm able to talk to more customers than before. Because, for example, if I've got a customer in the UK, before I would just travel to the UK, so I would lose one day to get there.
Sure.
For example, right now I can talk to somebody in Japan, for example, and someone in the UK, someone in the US in the same day, right? So that was not, it was possible before, but we didn't do that as a routine. We will go into a face-to-face meeting. So now all of us, I think we've gotten used to this virtual, interaction, right? And I would say there's nothing better than being in person. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, sure.
I agree with that, right? But we've adapted, and I think that as a whole, we've become a lot more effective. So I can manage my day a lot better now than before.
Right. Now, you mentioned obviously as a business, as individuals, you're very customer centric. So you're obviously at the coalface talking to customers on a regular basis. So from your perspective, having spoken to customers and looking back at the last year, what are some of the sort of key industry development stories and trends that you saw sort of develop in the last 12 months?
Yeah, so in general, I think that there was more in the last 12 months, there was more focus on workflows than actual individual aspects of the components of the entire ecosystem. So I saw a lot more targeted approaches, like, for example, what I described to you before, molecular profiler that we developed, it was a very focused workflow in specific areas where there were critical needs. The other one, I think, is more around bioinformatic tools, obviously in general, like, for example, developing more intelligent algorithms. We've seen a lot more, a stronger drive towards machine learning tools, especially for complex samples, where there's a high degree of sample complexity, such as, proteomics workflows. We have, obviously, the complexity is not as high as a genomics application, right? But you still get like over 10,000 proteins in a sample, 50,000 peptides. these are really complex samples.
Sure.
The instrument, it's easy to generate the data, no doubt about it, right? But really, where the rubber meets the road is how are we going to process that data, right? How are we going to interpret that data?
Yeah, well, I was going to say that's the big thing, isn't it? Interpreting
right.
it as much as anything else.
So I think that from a hardware standpoint, technology-wise, I wouldn't say that we've reached the limit. I think there's still a lot more room to grow there. But I think that equally important, if not even more important, are the bioinformatics that you're going to build around that ecosystem, right? Because of the complexity of the samples.
Right. And one question I ask everybody, and there may not be an answer to this, is that looking back on the last 2 months, is there any areas that you think the industry could have done better in terms of how it served the market or served each other, basically, or worked with each other?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, just coming back to our new way of working, right? I think that the one thing that could have been done better, I mean, in general, I would say improving the usability, user experience, so that we can get results faster. So what I mean by that is, related to what I said before, is, I think there is a greater need now for simplified workflows, right? Better tools to understand, what goods look like, right? And to be able to build more of the kind of, onboard self-diagnostic tools, right? Especially if you're new to the industry, or even if you're seasoned, right? You don't have time to diagnose. Especially now, right? You have a lot of projects that you're working on, a lot of pressure from your peers. You need to be able to walk up to the system and kind of self-diagnose yourself, right? And basically tell you, yes, you're good to go, or maybe this is where we believe the issue is. Go and solve it, right? I think that this is where I think that user experience and usability can really help us to be even more productive than before, especially now that we probably don't spend a lot of time in the lab, right? We minimize the time that we spend in the lab. So that's why I think that we just don't have the time to troubleshoot.
Right. Well, that leads on nicely, actually, to looking ahead to this year now and predictions for 2022. So what are your predictions then for the life science sector in 2022?
Yeah, great question. So I think that there are 3 items that I predict here. The first one is, manage this new working environment, right? This is going to continue to evolve, right? As we've seen, right? We're going to move into an endemic, or maybe we're already in an endemic situation. So I think that more remote tools where we can provide more efficiency of work and operate in this virtual environment that we're in today, right? I think this is going to be here for a long time. So we're just going to have to continue to adapt and make our work more effective, right? The second one that I've seen a lot over the last year and a bit is single cell, right? Single cell multi-omics. It started with the genomics. Now it's moved to proteomics. I think that I've seen some work done in metabolomics as well. There are some very important, biological questions that the single cell approach can basically answer. And I think that it's going to be continued investment in this area. I believe that this field is moving very fast. I think it has the potential to be game changing, but like with every new field of application, there are challenges, right? That they need to be overcome. Challenges such as, your linear dynamic range, your sensitivity of the system, throughput, bioinformatic tools. I mean, there's a lot, right? I think that all the pieces are here, so we just need to put them together, right?
Sure.
And the last one, and I keep driving that point, is again more emphasis in software pipeline standardization. So what I mean by that is there are so many tools available today, right, to process your data. So which one is the right one, right? Especially if you're working in a in a discovery environment, you got so many tools, right? And some of them may give you different answers, right? So which one is the right one? How do we address this, right? I think that's important, to be able to have, a standardized pipeline for the question that you have.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's an interesting point that you brought up about the software, though, because one thing which always strikes me is that obviously you've launched a lot of new software with some of your new technology. There's also a lot of providers out there who provide software connecting up different software as well. And as a layperson, just looking from the outside in, it looks like there's a lot of choices really for people, particularly if you're setting up a lab and you have more than one manufacturer's instrument within your lab. How do you choose what and connect it all up so that you get the most efficient workflows and, like you said, are able to interpret the data then in a way which makes sense to you that you can use it going forward? So that's obviously, I think, a big question still to be resolved, isn't it?
Exactly, that's exactly right, and especially now that some of the software tools which are available, they're using machine learning. So what it means is that they need data to be fed in, right? So depending on what you have in your lab, the system will continue to learn, right? So I think that's one of the issues, right? There's so many choices, right? So many different software packages out there. So when you're trying to compare, not even different systems, but different software tools, they may not give you exactly the same results, right? So it's down to the user to interpret them and validate them. I mean, I say the word validation, that's very, very important, right?
Sure.
So don't take anything for granted. You have to do your due diligence and your verification and validation to basically not just understand the result, but to be able to repeat and validate what you're getting, right?
Sure.
So I mean, is it a bad thing? No, because it's all a process, right? But you got to be aware of, there are a lot of different tools out there that can help you answer the questions that you have. But at the end of the day, you have to validate, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, that leads us nice actually to looking at some of the new technological advances that you see happening around LCMS, because I know, someone who used to go, obviously when it was live, ASMS every year, you would go every year to ASMS and there would be a whole load of new trends come out that particular show, and it was amazing how nearly every single supplier came out with triple quads at the same time, or new quadruples, or whatever it may be, or they're all focusing on biopharma at that ASMS, and all suddenly got new software or new additions to the machines. So what do you see for 2022 as being the trends then around LCMS?
Yes, so I want to stick with the same line of thought. I think that there's going to be more emphasis towards ease of use, user experience, usability of the instrument. The other one, I think that is going to be more around workflow improvements for a variety of workflows, in the pharma industry, certainly around the discovery area, which I think that there's a lot more that can be done in that space. And the other one, as I mentioned before, as to some of my predictions for 2022 in the life science sector, is having systems, entire LCMS systems that addresses the real needs of single cell omics, right? So better dynamic range, better sensitivity, more integrated tools. This is where I think that the development is going to be focused. Again, it's a prediction for this year.
Right. And what can we expect from SCIEX then in 2022? What you can actually reveal? Obviously, I'm sure there's some stuff that you can't talk about, but what can you reveal for 2022?
Yeah, I mean, for 2022, as you know, we launched two products last year. We want to continue to build our customer-centric strategy. So again, working very closely with our customers so that we can continue to drive innovation and deliver complete workflows for our customers. The one thing that I'll say in relation to the instrument that I'm responsible for, the Xenotoph, we still got a lot of potential in that instrument that we can unlock. So our plan is to continue to unlock potential on that platform in the future, right? By improving our workflows, improving the way that we acquire the data, and continue to evolve, essentially.
Right. And finally, what last thoughts would you like to leave the viewers who are watching this right now for 2022?
Yeah, so for the viewers, I mean, my message would be, maintain innovations. That's very important, and continue with your curiosity for scientific excellence, and solve, really difficult problems. I mean, that's what in many ways gets me out of bed every day, knowing that we're gonna be providing tools for you to do that. And also, at SCIEX, we are obsessed with customer success, right? So we're happy to work with you to understand your needs and how we can make your workflows more seamless.
Fantastic. And finally, Jose, where can people get more information if they want to know more about what you're doing as a team, what SCIEX are doing? Where can they get more information?
Yeah, they can either get in contact with our local representatives, or they can also go to our website, SCIEX.com, where we have a lot of information about our products and services. Brilliant,
Jose. Well, look, thank you very much for that. It's been really interesting learning more about what's happening at SCIEX, what your views were last year, and also what you think about the trends for going forward. I'll look forward to seeing how many of those predictions come true as well. And I won't ask you who's going to win the Premier League, because we already know who's going to win that. So we'll leave that out. But, Jose, well, thank you very much. So there you go, viewers. I hope you found that interesting. If you've got any questions for Jose or any comments, please feel free to leave them below the video, or you can contact Jose directly on LinkedIn, and you can go and check out the SCIEX website and also see them at lots of events. They're exhibiting a lot of events, both virtually and live, over the next 12 months. And also they have lots of webinars and lots of other activities as well on LinkedIn. So you can follow them on LinkedIn as well and see what's going on. So all that's left for me to say is, Jose, I wish you lots of success in 2022. I hope you have a happy, successful and healthy 2022. And thank you, viewers. The same to you. And until next time, as always, stay well and stay safe. Bye-bye.